at that point, you're not there to play it safe. Like if you're not taking risks, you're not competing.
It's empowering. I mean, anybody who's done a CrossFit workout, you finish your CrossFit workout and you're like, I'm on top of the world.
Yeah.
Like a hunger for competition and like that super intense structure, routine. I still had that desire.
Listen to the way people feel and the motivations for doing the things that they did. It was like they were describing me to a T.
I'm not trying to solve everything for you, but I know that sometimes you just need somebody to listen.
Learned the most is how to fill my cup by filling others.
Welcome to the Hungry Dog Barbell Podcast. Join me as I talk with passionate people about their life's failures and successes, and most importantly, what keeps them hungry for more. What up, dogs? Today, I'm joined by my good friend, Paul Markakis. Paul and I met at the Green Beret Project Classic of 2021, where he was the head judge. Paul's coming on today to talk about his experience in CrossFit, finding it and using it as his exercise program, finding the competition atmosphere in the sport of CrossFit, and not only competing at those competitions, but judging at them. Specifically, Paul's on to talk about the MacFest, a competition for the community that was once also a semifinal. Oh, what up, dogs? Welcome back to another episode of the Hungry Dog Barbell Podcast here. I'm back with another CrossFit aficionado, CrossFit nerd on the podcast. I already forgot how to say your last name. Paul Markakis, is that how you said it?
Markakis, close.
Markakis, close to it. So you were just saying to me that, like, that's how you pronounce it. Is this like a Kelsey brother thing? Like there's some discrepancy of like what your last name is?
So in Baltimore, Maryland, about 15, 20 years ago, there was a baseball player that came up through the Oriole system named Nick Markakis. So everyone in the Baltimore area pronounces my last name Markakis. And since I've lived in the Baltimore area since 2011 or so, automatically people see my last name, they pronounce it Markakis. They ask if I'm related to the baseball player. I don't know if I am, but I pronounce it Markakis.
Markakis versus Markasis. Something like a softer ending there. I'm guessing it's spelled the same?
Spelled exactly the same way. Uncommon last name. So there's a 50-50 shot we're actually related somewhere up the family tree, but who knows?
Do that homework later on, find out.
Oh, I've tried, but unfortunately, for anyone who's seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding, Nick is a fairly common Greek name, so finding the right Nick Markakis or Markakis in the family tree, not easy to do.
Hell yeah, I feel that, man. That's a funny way to start the show off. Do you listen to other podcasts?
I do sometimes. Depends on what's going on or if I have any long drives going on.
Throw that on. So the Kelsey brothers, Travis and Jason from the Chiefs and the Eagles, respectively, on theirs, they talk about how there's the discrepancy of is it Kels or Kelsey? And they say they pronounce it the two different ways. Like Jason says Kelsey and Travis says Kels. So if he introduces himself, he'll say Travis Kels, you know?
And they grew up in the same house too. That's
right.
Unexpected.
What's next up for you? Like, are you working in any coming up or are you competing in any?
Yeah, that's a great question. In just a couple of weeks, 12 Labors is hosting MacFest out at the Howard County Fairgrounds in Maryland. This year, historically, MacFest has been a 2-day team of 4 male, female competition. This year, they switched it up a little bit. Friday is an individual competition. Saturday is teams of 4. Sunday is pairs. Each one of those being its own separate programming, one-day comp, 3 divisions. So in theory, somebody could sign up and do all 3 if they really want to, because I'm a CrossFit junkie, a 12 Labors junkie, just love being involved in some way. I'm judging on Friday for the individuals, competing on Saturday with my fiance and 2 of our friends, and then judging again on Sunday. So I'll have a full weekend of CrossFit.
Yeah, dude. Oh, man. Talk about energy dump right there, bro. You're going to be putting out a lot of emotions over that one weekend.
Oh, that's absolutely. Crazy. But to be inside the wire, on the judging side, being able to not just hold the standard, but cheer for those athletes, make sure that they get all the support they need while they're on the floor, turn right back around and be on the athlete side for a day, and then switch again and do it all over on Sunday is just too good of an opportunity to pass up.
Yeah, man, you're gonna fill your cup, as they say. Like sometimes it sounds a little cheesy to say that, but like that's literally what's gonna happen that weekend. What was your first CrossFit event that you were ever at? Whether it was judging, just spectating, what was the first time you were at a CrossFit event?
Yeah. So the first, what I would consider major CrossFit event that I went to was back in the weird CrossFit season of sanctionals in
Mm,
2019. And it was, of course, the Mid Atlantic CrossFit Challenge.
yeah,
And I'd been a fan of CrossFit for years before that, watching CrossFit on ESPN, on Facebook, never really had the chance to see a major competition in person. At the time, I wasn't training at an affiliate yet. And because the MAC sanctional was in DC that year, I grabbed a few of my friends. We got tickets. We went to see the sanctional in person, and seeing two competition floors simultaneously, elite athletes combined with just community members. There's actually, and I know we're going to get into this a little bit later, but one of the founders of the Green Beret Project Classic, Max Cutler, who you and I both know very well, there's a great picture that I have no idea how I found, but he was competing at the Max Sanctional in 2019. And there's a picture that somebody got from the other end of the arena of him and his team competing on a
yeah,
platform, and me and my friends in the front row against the barricade right behind
that's
his
crazy.
lane competing. Didn't know him at the time. He didn't know me at the time. And then years later, he and I became friends, worked some competitions together, have a great friendship to this day. But Mac 2019 was really the first time I got to see CrossFit in person. And it just lit the fire of, oh crap, this is cool. I want to be part of this.
Hell yeah, dude. And that's so crazy how like CrossFit it's definitely growing in like the space that it takes up, but it's still relatively small, you know? So like you have those interactions and those are crazy to be able to tell 4 and 5 years later. Like I remember watching this dude out on the competition floor, and then like we literally are just in a random picture together. And now I talk to this man on a regular basis. You know, it's crazy how
You
things go like that.
can't make that stuff up.
Right. Like you just had to experience it. You had to go out and live it. So for you, were you training at all back then? Were you working out? Like what was your exercise looking like?
I'd been doing through college, Globo Gym, traditional, find some programs online, didn't really know how to lift properly, wasn't really sure what to do beyond what other friends of mine had shown me, and then went to do some functional fitness things at a local gym for a few years. But it wasn't until end of April, early May 2019 that I committed to, okay, I need to go to a CrossFit affiliate. I went to look at a few near me, and 12 Labors from day one just felt like the right affiliate. It just, something clicked, and it has been my home affiliate ever since.
Was that before or after you went to the Mac Fest that was the or the Mac that was the sanctional that
It
you
was
started
right
there?
around the same time. I think I
Yeah.
went to, if memory serves, either the week before or the week after, I went to drop into the gym and meet the district manager, see what the space looked like, learn more about how CrossFit operates. And ultimately, by the time I walked out of there that day, I knew that I needed to be training at a CrossFit affiliate, and 12 Labors was the right fit for me.
There you go. You got the Kool-Aid, you drank it right away. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
So you were just talking about the Mac Fest before, and then the Mac. They're two different things, right?
So originally, the Mid Atlantic CrossFit Challenge itself was founded by the
Stylized is like
12
the
Labors
MACC,
affiliate.
right?
Yep, MACC. So it used to be MAAC, the Mid Atlantic Affiliate Challenge.
Yeah.
This, of course, precedes me by many years, but Luke SB, the founder of 12 Labors CrossFit, he and a few others founded the Mid Atlantic Affiliate Challenge as a team competition in the Mid Atlantic region. It grew, it grew, it grew when CrossFit offered local events across the world the opportunity to apply to host a sanctional. 12 Labors was selected to be one of those under the MAC banner to host a sanctional. So in that
Right. And
weird
for
year or
people out
two of
there, that was the thing that immediately preceded what is now the CrossFit licensed events. Like what you're talking about right now, the sanctionals. That was an idea that later on became the CrossFit licensed events, like what we have now. But yeah, keep
Yep.
going.
So the Mid Atlantic Affiliate Challenge, through their partnership with CrossFit, was rebranded the Mid Atlantic CrossFit Challenge. And then in 2021, during the year of COVID, the Mid Atlantic CrossFit Challenge was selected to host one of the North American semifinals. And the MAC as a brand knew that even with that semifinal still happening, the community in the Mid Atlantic region needed a community festival to continue. And they split the two events to separate times of the year, with the semifinal, of course, being in the May-June timeframe on the CrossFit timeline, and the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge Festival, which is now known as MacFest, being in the fall. So late September, early October timeframe.
So all under one umbrella. But does
Yep.
MacFest require a qualifier for it?
Nope.
No
It's
qualifier for
first
that
come,
one.
first serve. As soon as registration opens, whoever can sign up. And once registration closes, or once a division hits the cap, that's that.
That's awesome. So it's the event for the people, for the community.
Yep, absolutely.
So for that one, is there different divisions?
They do. There's always some version of RX plus, RX and scaled, as well as for the individuals. The past couple of years, they've also had a masters competition at the individual level.
That's dope.
But both team of 4 and pairs have RX plus, RX and scaled as the 3 divisions.
Ooh, it's a busy, busy weekend, dude. I love that.
Oh yeah, 3 divisions per day, plus probably over the course of the weekend 400 to 500 total athletes. Judging teams flowing between 2 different competition floors, and it's just, I mean, the team that runs it has been doing it for so long that it runs like clockwork, almost to the minute. And for those, and that's a big part of the reason that I wanted to compete this year. I've helped out with MacFest before. I've volunteered, I've judged, and being out on that floor and feeling the energy of the community, feeling the energy of the teams out there competing, there was something that I knew I wanted to compete this year. And the fact that it is 3 different divisions, 1 on each day, gives me the opportunity to still give back to the community, help out with judging, which I'm passionate about, but then also take the judge hat off for a day, throw down with my fiance, with 2 of our good friends, and then go right back to judging the next day.
Hell yeah. Sounds like the best of both worlds, So on that note, what was your first experience judging or volunteering at any competition?
Oh, I think it was at a local competition, again, hosted out of 12 Labors, called The Vault. The theme of that competition was that the first workout of the day, every single team did the same exact workout. It was mixed gender pairs. Everybody did the same workout. Based on how you did in that workout, you got bracketed into either the gold bracket or the silver bracket, which corresponded to either RX plus or RX.
Yeah.
Gold being the RX plus, silver being RX. And then you were head to head, you against the team correspondingly in the bracket. And each subsequent workout would be bracket style, that it was just you
It would change,
seeded
yeah.
against 16 versus 1, 15 versus 2, and so on.
Wow.
Head to head, win your bracket matchup, you advance, lose, and you're done all the way through. So it ended up being 5 workouts, which I think is pretty standard for most local competitions, that you get 4 or 5 workouts over the course of the day.
Right.
And by the end, sure enough, the fittest prevailed, but with the unique twist that all that mattered was that you beat the team directly across from you. And it made for some really fun races because the teams were quite literally across from each other on opposite sides of the rig. So you could see
That's super
exactly
interesting.
where they were. And
Damn.
you knew exactly what you needed to do to either stay ahead or sell your soul to try to win. And I saw more than a couple of people in the workout involving the assault bike just absolutely sell their souls on the assault bike. For some of them, it worked out. And some of them, I think I actually saw their souls leave their body. And I feel for them. I was judging the whole time, and it was my first time judging. So being there front row, knowing that I needed to count reps, hold the standard, start and stop the stopwatch, and also be the first person that those athletes have right in front of them, supporting them and making sure that I made the right calls to move the fittest teams on. It was awesome to be in a position to give back to the community in that way, but also kind of terrifying just because when you're out there in a CrossFit competition and you're judging, you rarely have a second set of eyes on you, or at least a second set of impartial eyes. But you have the team competing. Usually they'll have some spectators cheering them on. So if you mess up, if you make a bad call, which happens, we're all human. If you forget exactly what rep they're on, which happens, we're all human, it's on you. And you have to be there present in that moment to stay involved and ultimately make the right calls so that everybody knows the right teams are moving forward or the right individuals are moving forward. And there's never a question about the judging.
Yeah, it's like when you're out there, if you make a bad call, you have to be ready to make the next call better, and just try to do it right. But so you said like that the in-house competition was put on by 12 Labors when you were there, and that same like team of people birthed the MAC and the MAC Fest.
Yep.
That's where that came from. So I think that for everyone listening, with that kind of idea for an in-house comp, you can see why they were able to grow to be able to be running semifinals now. Because that's like a small thing, but a really good concept for an in-house comp. Make it bracket style, head-to-head, elimination. Like you're just racing one other team. That's like intensity through the roof. So like you said, you're going to get some really good races. That's awesome. That's really awesome to hear right there. So what's the next thing that you work at? What's the bigger thing? Where does the elevation come in?
So it's a really good question. And I appreciate the way you worded it, because to me, part of it is always what's near and dear to my heart are the local competitions, because at the end of the day, there are so few athletes that are competing at the elite levels of CrossFit relative to the number of people that are doing CrossFit. I mean, we have hundreds of thousands of athletes in our sport that sign up for the CrossFit Open around the world. We have hundreds that go on to compete at semifinals. We have 80 that go on to compete in the individual division at the CrossFit Games. And we have another hundreds at most that are out there for the teams, masters, and other age group and adaptive divisions. So to me,
So that's like 1 in 5%, of a whole community. So a small number.
Exactly. And those events are so far apart that the really good judges, with some additions from CrossFit seminar staff, those bigger events, generally the people who are really good judges, really good staff members, they're always involved. The local events are the ones that are nearest and dearest to my heart, because it's rare for a local competition to have that level of and that caliber of judging staff or volunteer staff with that experience. As I've been coming up in my experience as a CrossFit athlete, as a CrossFit coach, as a CrossFit judge, I've learned so much from all of those people that have been doing this year after year at the highest levels of sport, to be able to then turn around, share a little bit of that with others in the local community, not just to give them that sense of, here is how I've learned it should be done from those around me, but also making sure that for competition, standard is upheld. It's not an elevation so much as an expansion, because to me, it's really about spreading the love more than just as an individual. Judging CrossFit is never about me. Volunteering at CrossFit is never about me. It's all about the athletes out on the floor. The best judge is the one that nobody sees, because that means you made every single call correctly and nobody ever had to question a single thing. And we have a lot of good judges that I've been fortunate to learn from that really take the next wave under their wing to train them, just the same way that in the CrossFit coaching world, more experienced coaches take the newer coaches under their wing. The athletes, you look around and the people that have been doing it for a while, you learn from them. Same thing on the judging side. And to me, it's less about an expand or elevation, much more just expanding the opportunity space to share what I've learned from these incredible judges and volunteers around the world, sharing that with as many people as possible, and across the board elevating what we can offer to the community in terms of competition space, not so much for trying to make it to semifinals or trying to make it for the CrossFit Games, but just athletes that do CrossFit on a regular basis that want to test themselves, and knowing that we're providing them a safe, fair opportunity for them to test themselves in a competitive space and learn for themselves what that feels like.
Hell yeah, dude. I mean, that's beautiful for people to be so passionate about a sport that they feel that way. That's what's going to help to make the community even stronger here. You know what? I just thought of a question that I haven't asked anybody else, even about judging, man. I can't wait for your answer. What's your least favorite thing to judge?
Oh, that's a really good one. I think that just about anybody who judges enough CrossFit, double unders is one of the first things that's going to come to their mind, just because the reps happen so fast that it can be really easy to miscount, lose place. I think everybody will have double unders on their short list of movements.
Dude, last year at the Green Beret, counting the Karis and freaking Majesta and Meg O'Donnell teams double unders at the end.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
They were, I mean, their team at that competition had some of the fastest double unders I've ever seen in my life. Meg O'Donnell in particular. And I mean, she's a multi-time regional semifinals athlete.
Right.
Her double unders were so fast.
Like there's no single under to start. It's the first rep is a double under. So that it's just like, what you're in for right there.
I think that one, anything, typically synchro movements are across the board harder to judge, particularly in one competition that I judged. They had synchronized wall walks, and it was really challenging, particularly because the athletes that were moving quickly, the propensity to start the movement, typically the requirement is your feet must be on the wall before your hands can start moving. But when athletes
Yeah.
are moving fast, if it's an individual athlete, usually you can spot enough that you can see the opportunity to call a no rep. But when it's two
Right.
athletes simultaneously that are only synchronized at the top of the movement, but that initiating feet on the wall before the hands start moving for two athletes of different heights, it was probably the single most difficult synchronized movement that I have ever had to judge, just because it was so hard to see that both athletes were doing the right thing. And it was so fast that if you didn't immediately call a no rep, they were already basically done with the movement.
Right. And athletes don't want to hold that position in the wall walk, like in either
No,
spot. They want to move. And in the small, fast people, they want to like bounce off the wall. So like
absolutely.
it's almost over before you're even getting to say no rep out. And then don't even think about trying to explain what it is before they're starting another rep, you know? Mine was going to be similarly related to the double under in that at the MFC last year, the very first movement of the very first workout of the whole weekend, the first experience you're going to get with judging, I was in the first heat and the movement was crossover double unders. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be terrible to count. But now what's a favorite movement of yours to judge? Because you're going to be like, this is going to be easy to no rep. Like, I got this in the bag.
The worm, to me, the worm, if you get a team of 4 on a worm, it's the easiest one because you can immediately see, especially if you have a second spotter at the back of the worm, that one is so simple to see if they are doing what they're supposed to do or not. Anything with squatting, take a knee, look at the knee versus the hip crease, immediately obvious if they are hitting depth or not. Anything with a barbell, really easy to judge. Most dumbbell movements as well, really easy to judge, just because the standards are unambiguous. People might, with the exception of and it's not even the standard itself, it's the way the standard is written as compared to what's actually happening in competition. As a perfect example, in the CrossFit Open this year, the standards were ambiguous on what defined a thruster for the thruster part of the second open workout. So there were athletes that were essentially what looked like doing a squat clean into a jerk because their feet weren't staying planted. There was the potential for a rebend under the barbell as they were moving from the front rack position overhead. It was not clearly written in the standards. There was a lot of room for ambiguity, as opposed to most recently when Rogue Fitness had a thruster as part of the Rogue Invitational qualifiers. They made it unambiguous. They explicitly stated your feet must stay exactly where they are during that workout. And it took all of the ambiguity out of it of, is it a thruster? Is it a jerk? I'm not really sure. If your feet move by Rogue's defined standards, it is a no rep. And it made it so much easier to judge. So I'd say generally anything with a barbell, really easy to judge. And then obviously machines, shuttle runs. Shuttle runs are super easy to judge.
You touch or you don't, buddy.
Yep. 3 points of contact, 2 feet and a hand. You get to pick which hand, but go all the way across the line.
Yeah. Oh my God. We just had a shuttle run workout on Monday. I hated it. It's terrible. I quickly got exposed last year during the shuttle runs. That workout was the second workout.
Yep.
That was terrible for the open.
The shuttle run, burpee, pull up.
and then the thruster at the end. That was so funny seeing all the breakdown from like the walking forward, because your knees have to bend for you to move your feet. And that was, it was crazy how standards, it, like, I don't want to say they should lay that all out, but it's the person that's writing that, when you know that thousands of people are going to be taken under your workout, you got to make everything clearly defined, like you said.
And part of the problem, I think, is also a lot of these workouts, when they're tested, are tested with athletes that generally move really well. And for common movements, generally do the movements as they're meant to be done. So a lot of these issues you may not even think of, because for the athletes that move really proficiently, you're never going to see some of these outside the box things, whereas your average CrossFit affiliate member rarely is going to go for a 1-rep max thruster. Most of them, honestly, have probably not done a 1-rep max thruster from the floor more than once a year. At most, I would argue once a year. But then to have hundreds of thousands of athletes going for a 1-rep max thruster from the floor under fatigue on a movement that they do maybe once a year, things are going to break down in movement patterns in ways that you might not expect when you write the standard. And for judges that also don't judge that much and aren't coaches that see these movements time and time again, it's really difficult to make a call like that and know that it's the right call.
Yeah. Dude, you know what's funny? I can remember the first competition that I ever did was one of those intermediate, like, Festivus competitions. And the strength workout was a 2-rep max thruster from the floor. And I can vividly remember stepping forward as I locked out the last rep. And now that would be a no rep. I'm like, damn, bro. I was only like 175 at the time, because I was like 6 months into CrossFit, you know?
And I'm sure they still gave you the rep, because
most
competitions would.
Yeah, the judge cheered for me and everything. You know, it was awesome. So, like, speaking of, dude, what was the first competition that you ever competed in?
It was also a Festivus Games. I don't remember too much of what the workouts were. I know one workout had thrusters and box jumps, and another one had rowing and I think either devil press or dumbbell snatches or dumbbell hang snatches. And I'd been working out on and off in some capacity pretty much my entire life. And my first taste of competing in a CrossFit competition at a Festivus Games, I got so humbled by that competition, not even considering the teams around me, just how I felt doing those workouts at that level of intensity. I got absolutely rocked by each and every one of those workouts, because I severely overestimated how fit I thought I was. It was the most humbling experience I've ever had. When you've been doing CrossFit for a while, you can look at a workout, go into competition, and know, yep, this is going to hurt. And you're prepared for it. You know where your fitness is at. You're rarely caught off guard by how bad it's going to hurt. That competition, I had no idea how bad I would be humbled by how terribly one part had a rower, and getting on the rower in competition with anxiety spiking and nerves and butterflies in the belly.
No bueno.
I was rocked by a Concept 2 rower like I rarely have been since.
That's hilarious, bro. The most painful thing that I've ever done I went to a competition, and I think it was my only individual competition, maybe one of two, something like that. And the floater workout was a 500-meter row time trial. So just row as hard as you can. Bro, to this day, that is my PR 500 meter. I pulled a 127 and absolutely died. Like, I just rolled off of the rower and didn't sign my card for like 2 minutes. Thank God there was no one that had to go right after me. It hurt so bad. Like, I don't think I've ever had, that's the highest intensity I think I've ever put out in my entire
I would
workout
believe it.
career. It was terrible.
Especially a 500-meter row.
It's
It's
just
so
enough.
fast. It's just enough, and
Yeah.
it's so fast that you can absolutely black out on it, and
Yeah.
it doesn't hit you until you get off the rower and your entire body just shuts down.
It's terrible. It was absolutely terrible, bro. Oh my God, that hurt. I did something last week that was an EMOM of 1 round of DT at 95, so super light, and then the other round was max double unders. Like,
Cool.
yeah, for 12 rounds, so 6 of each. I was like, this is fine. The first 2 rounds of DT. By round 3, going into the double unders, I was like, I am really, really hurting. This is terrible right now. But that's why we all love CrossFit, you know?
Oh, absolutely. There was one that I did 12 labors tester workout that our
Oof.
gym created. And our 12 labors themed after the 12 labors of Hercules. So over the 10 plus years that the affiliate has been in existence, they tested and retested, and back in 2019 finally released a set of 12 workouts, each of which is named after one of the 12 labors of Hercules, each of which is testing a different modality or testing a different time domain. And in aggregate, if you do well on all of these workouts, you are quite fit. And of course, one of the workouts, which is the strength focused one, is the CrossFit Total. So of course, that one is biased towards the strength athletes. Another one, which many people have seen posted, not many choose to do, 20 down to 1 burpees, but before every set, you have to do a 400-meter run.
Yeah, no.
So that one,
2400-meter runs.
Yeah, plus 20 down to 1 burpees.
Yeah, nah, it's a lot.
It's beautiful. The one that made me just absolutely, I was sitting in a cubby at the gym, staring at the wall for a solid 30 minutes before I felt that I could safely drive home. It was that bad. This workout is a 45-minute AMRAP.
Oh.
It starts with a 20 cal echo bike for men, 15 for our female athletes, followed by 15 air squats and 5 wall walks.
That's it for 45 minutes?
For 45 minutes, you are doing, for the male athletes, a 20 cal echo bike, 15 air squats, and 5 wall walks over and over and over. And I remember
that's so much of everything. That's crazy.
The first 3 rounds felt fantastic. I look up at the clock and we are 7.5 minutes into this workout. And all I see is, oh no, I am 3 rounds in. We are still only 7.5, 8 minutes into this workout. I have more than a half hour to go. This is going to be ugly.
Yeah, that's like a workout. You just, like, the darkness just slowly closes in. Oh my God.
And I do weird things when I'm on the athlete side that, as I was there, I'm like, all right, great. If I get through 1 round, then I will get to 30 minutes, which means I'm only 2/3 of the way left before I finish. And if I just get 1 more round, then I'm 2/3 of the way there. And then, okay, great. Now it's only a 30-minute AMRAP. And that means it's just 10 more rounds and I'm done. And I just do these weird mental games to keep myself distracted from anything but thinking about how badly the workout is hurting. And that's one that I vividly remember is the closest I've come to really vomiting on the gym floor. That as soon as that workout was over, I knew I had nothing left in the tank and could not possibly have gotten even one more rep on that workout. There was nothing left.
That's hilarious, bro. It sounds absolutely terrible. Those longer workouts like that, I keep those to a minimum throughout the whole year. You know, I'm like a
Yeah, I
more of
mean,
a half hour and under kind of guy.
it's good to have one of those, and especially in a class hour for most gyms, you don't really get the opportunity to coach when you have a 1 hour workout. If you have a
Right.
40 or you have a 1 hour class, if you have a 40-minute workout or 45-minute workout, that gives you 15 minutes to explain the workout, adequately warm people up, coach them in what the movements are and how to strategize, and then give them enough time to get water, go to the bathroom, do what they need to do to get all of that done and effectively coach people in a 15-minute time period to then know that you can set people loose to still get the workout done within the class hour. It's difficult to do. And that's one of my pet peeves of CrossFit in general, especially having coached for years now, are just gyms that over program at the expense of coaches actually being able to coach.
Yeah, those gyms got to get it together out there. Go follow Cat. You know, they're really good with the programming that they put in there.
Follow
It's an hour
Cap,
of fitness. Yeah.
Cap main site. Just yes, if there's an athlete that, and I look at some of these sample workouts from Proven 60, from HWPO 60. If you're an athlete that's been doing CrossFit a while, you generally know how to do all of the movements in CrossFit. Maybe you can't do them perfectly, but generally you know how to do them. You're in the stage of your CrossFit journey where you're refining technique. You can do a major Olympic lift, some Olympic lifting strength work, and a Metcon with safety all in a 60-minute window. For a class environment where, and I'm sure you see this at your affiliate also, the expectation is coaching your members and teaching them things about whatever it is they're going to encounter in that day's workout, to then take that identical programming and convert it to a class hour. I don't know about you, but I see the expense being coaches don't get to coach because there's so much that needs to get done within the class hour. They don't get the chance to actually teach people how to do movements effectively and safely. And then I see it time and time again as a judge in competition. The affiliates that, I don't want to say under program, but prioritize giving coaches the opportunity to coach, giving athletes one thing to focus on that day with intensity. When it comes to competition, and everybody knows in their local area which affiliates have been there for a while, which affiliates have figured things out. You see it on the competition floor, especially as a judge. Those are the athletes that move with precision, that are rarely getting no reps. If they do get a no rep, they're not arguing with you. They're just asking for clarification on what they did wrong. Maybe if it's a wall ball workout and they don't hit depth on one of their wall balls, and you no rep them and immediately tell them no rep depth, there's no argument from them. Instantly, they know they need to squat a little bit deeper on the next one and the issue is done. Versus at a lot of affiliates that don't even take the time to insist that squats be below parallel for those that have competitive aspirations. Then those people get into competition, they get no repped, they've never had anyone no rep them before. They've never had anyone tell them that what they're doing is not to standard. And they spend more time arguing about it than correcting it in some cases because they don't know what they need to correct in the first place. It all comes back together.
You hate to see that. I want to say if you are out there and you are filling your entire hour with like the people doing so much programming and you don't have any coaching, no teaching progressions, you're not moving the needle forward, you're just kind of what do I call them? A clock starter kind of person. You should do better in your CrossFit coaching career if you're doing that. I hate people that do that stuff. I've coached at gyms like that and literally have walked away because I'm like, this is dumb. Like the ones that have a 25-minute strength and then a 20-minute AMRAP every day or something like that. Like you should just do better. Coach
and it just,
as a coach.
And as coaches, when you're out there on the floor, if you're inexperienced, that's the only affiliate you've ever been to. And I've seen it happen, and from friends that I know, they don't know any better. But when you then have the opportunity to go to affiliates that are either following CrossFit affiliate programming, that are doing main site, that are coaching a CrossFit class hour the way it's outlined in the L1 and L2 manuals, it is night and day, not just how much easier it is as a coach, but then when you look around the room and you see every single rep that coach is there cueing somebody, either correcting them or just telling an individual, hey, I know you've been working on your front rack mobility. That looks really good. You are getting better. Those athletes, because they're actually able to take a step back, learn how to do things properly. Number one, it reduces their risk for injury. Because at the end of the day, if your programming isn't exciting, people are probably still going to keep coming back if they see that they're getting fitter, if it's a good community. If an athlete gets hurt, if they get hurt because they weren't taught how to do something properly, they're not going to come back. Anyone who saw it is not going to come back, and any of their friends are not going to come back. Injury mitigation is number one, and we see it in competition too, that the athletes that move really well, if there's a freak injury in competition, like what we saw happen with Roman Krenikov, technically, he did nothing wrong. He went over a log, twisted his ankle on a sandbag, broke his foot. It wasn't that he was doing a movement inefficiently. It just, you play sport, eventually sport catches up to you. Brooke Wells dislocating her elbow. She has textbook picture perfect squat snatch. Play sport, eventually sport catches up with you. There are a lot of affiliates that just would rather pack a class hour with stuff than teach things right and give coaches the opportunity to coach, and ultimately their athletes suffer. And I, as the judge, it breaks my heart when I see athletes that just, we have to no rep them because they genuinely do not know any better. It's just, it's so sad. And I've seen it. And I think you and I have seen it volunteering as judges at the Green Beret Project Classic. There are athletes that come out there that they don't know any better and they get no repped and they don't understand why and don't know how to fix it. And it is just heartbreaking because it's not a physical capacity limitation. They just never learned how to do a movement properly in the first place. It's so sad, and we never want to no rep them, but we have to uphold the standard.
Yeah. Those moments like that. So, but Paul, what's next? What's coming on next year? Like schedule for Wadapalooza is out. Are you going to go to that? You have any major events you're looking towards?
Yeah. Interesting you bring up Wadapalooza. That's actually the weekend that my fiance and I tie the knot. So I will not be at Wadapalooza. We will be celebrating our wedding
party.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
We will be celebrating our wedding weekend while all of my friends are down judging in Miami, and then taking it one step at a time, seeing what the 2024 CrossFit Games season landscape looks like. And depending on what semifinals ends up being, hopefully, I think it worked really well this year. North America East, North America West CrossFit Games. Hopefully, I'll be getting out on the floor for a couple of those, whatever is close enough. And then, of course, local competitions and MacFest as it continues to grow in some way, shape, or form. I will always be at MacFest and at the Green Beret Project Classic as long as those events continue to happen. Those are pretty much the only two events that are always on my calendar because they're both near and dear to my heart.
That's awesome. Where are you guys getting married at?
We're getting married in Catonsville, Maryland at a mansion that has been turned into a wedding venue.
That's awesome, dude. What about where's the honeymoon at? You guys going to travel?
The plan is to not honeymoon immediately after, but next summer go to Greece for about 2.5 weeks and relax on a beach somewhere.
Oof, that's a great idea.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming on, bro. It's been a great time here, man. What do you got going on for the rest of the day?
Just finishing up some work, heading over to the gym this afternoon, getting a good workout in, and starting to begin the taper process to get ready to compete at MacFest.
When exactly is that? Is it like October?
It is the last weekend in September, so 2.5 weeks-ish from now. So a couple more days of heavy workouts, high volume, and then intensity goes up, volume goes down, right into a couple of days of rest before throwing down on the competition floor.
Hell yeah, brother. Well, thanks for coming on again, Paul. Good luck out there. Go get them.